The man accused of killing 4 people, including 3 children, with a hammer in Terrytown, answered to the charges against him in court this morning. The Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office is asking for the death penalty in the case against Terrance Leonard. Duke Carter is joining us live outside the court on what happened inside today. Duke?
Hey, good afternoon, Eric. Well, yeah, Terrance Leonard, 33-year-old Terrance Leonard, appeared in court this morning, and it was very brief when he appeared. In fact, his entire appearance in court lasted no more than 5 minutes. Now, he pled not guilty on charges against him, which include 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, and 1 count of obstruction of justice. Now, according to Jefferson Parish Sheriff deputies, Terrance Leonard is accused of murdering Christina Riley, as well as Riley's 2 children and her niece, the day after Mardi Gras Ash Wednesday this year in Terrytown. Now, another daughter from Riley also survived the attack, but her condition was not clear. So many people were upset by the brutal killings in that neighborhood. Many people just came out and held a vigil for the victims, the children all involved in the attack, as well as the mom, Christina Riley. Many have placed stuffed animals and lit candles in hopes the community can heal. And again, Leonard pled not guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder, as well as 1 count of attempted first-degree murder and 1 count of obstruction of justice.